The shuttle landed with a soft hum on the metal platform. Steam hissed from the cooling engines as the door slowly opened. Hundreds of alien cadets stood watching, their eyes fixed on the small ship that had traveled from a distant blue planet called Earth. Park stepped out into the light. She was not what they expected. She stood only 160 centimeters tall, with black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her face showed no fear, no excitement, no emotion at all. She carried one small bag over her shoulder and wore the plain gray uniform of the Galactic Coalition's Integration Academy. The aliens whispered to each other. Some laughed quietly. This was the famous human species, this small, soft creature with no claws, no fangs, no armor on her skin. Commander pushed through the crowd. He was a species known for their intelligence and their 4 powerful arms. His scaled skin was dark green, and his yellow eyes studied like she was a puzzle he could not solve. "You are the combat specialist that Earth sent us." His voice was deep and rough. "Yes, Commander. Your government told us you were exceptional. They said you would represent humanity well." Said nothing, she simply waited. Looked at his, then back at her. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had discovered faster-than-light travel only 30 years ago. Before that, they had been alone on their small world, fighting among themselves, completely unaware of the thousands of species that filled the stars. Most aliens thought of humans as prey animals. They were soft, weak, and died easily. They had no natural weapons. Their senses were poor compared to most species. The only reason the Coalition had accepted them was because they showed surprising creativity with technology. But combat, fighting, no one believed humans could compete with real warrior races. "Follow me," said, "I will show you to your quarters." The academy was enormous. It floated in space, a massive station that housed over 10,000 cadets from across the galaxy. Here, young warriors from different species trained together, learned from each other, and prepared for service in the Coalition military. Walked silently behind Commander, she noticed everything. The way other cadets moved aside when they saw the Commander. The security cameras on every wall, the smell of different species mixing in the recycled air. "You have been assigned to Barracks 7, said as they walked. "It is currently occupied by cadets." He paused, looking back at her. Was that concern in his eyes? "They are difficult. They come from a death world. Their planet is filled with predators, and they evolved to be the most dangerous of all. They are strong, fast, and aggressive. 3 other species have requested transfers out of Barracks 7 because of them." "I understand," said. "Do you? They will not welcome you. They see other species as prey, especially ones that look," he searched for the right word, "vulnerable." "I will manage." Stared at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head and continued walking. Barracks 7 was in the far corner of the station. The door was large and heavy, designed for species much bigger than humans. Had to reach up to press the entry panel. Inside, the room was dark and smelled of musk and raw meat. 12 bunks lined the walls, and 12 massive shapes turned to look at her. They were terrifying. Each one stood over 2.5 meters tall. Their bodies were covered in thick gray skin that looked like leather armor. Their arms ended in claws that could tear through metal. Their faces were flat and wide, with small eyes and mouths full of sharp teeth. They looked like the nightmares of 100 different species. The largest rose from his bunk and walked toward. His name was, and he was the pack leader. His claws clicked on the metal floor with each step. He stopped directly in front of her. Then he leaned down until his face was only centimeters from hers. His breath was hot and smelled of blood. "Wrong room, little meat." Did not step back, she did not blink. She simply looked up at the monster in front of her. "This is my assigned quarters." Size narrowed. "Not anymore, leave now and we will not hurt you. Stay and we will show you what do to pray." The other were standing now. Some of them were making low, growling sounds in their throats. They surrounded like wolves around a rabbit. She set her bag down on an empty bunk near the door. "I will stay." Silence. Then laughed. It was a horrible sound, deep and rumbling like rocks grinding together. The other joined him, their growls turning to rough barks of amusement. "The human has courage," said. "Stupid courage, but courage. I have seen small prey fight before. They bite and scratch and think they can survive. They never do." He turned away from her and walked back to his bunk. "We have rules here, little meat. First rule, you do not speak unless spoken to. Second rule, you eat after we eat. Third rule, you do not look us in the eyes. Break these rules and we will teach you pain. Began unpacking her bag. She placed her items neatly on the small shelf above her bunk. She moved calmly as if she had not heard him at all. Watched her with growing irritation. Did you hear me, human? I heard you. And... Finished unpacking. She sat down on her bunk and looked directly into Sai's. I do not follow those rules. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every went still. Claws extended fully, each one as long as a knife. You will regret those words. Perhaps said, we will see. For a long moment, considered killing her right there. It would be easy. One swipe of his claws and her soft body would open like ripe fruit. But something stopped him, something in her eyes. There was no fear there, no desperation, just patience, like she was waiting for something. It made him uncomfortable in a way he could not explain. Tomorrow is the combat evaluation, he finally said. All cadets must participate. We will see then what humans are made of. He turned his back to her. Sleep well, little meat. Tomorrow everyone will see how weak your species truly is. Lay down on her bunk and closed her eyes. Around her, they returned to their beds, still growling quietly among themselves. None of them noticed the small smile that crossed her face. She had been sent here for a reason. Earth needed the galaxy to understand something important, something that humans had learned long ago through millions of years of survival on a world that had tried very hard to kill them. Being small did not mean being weak, and looking like prey did not make you prey. Tomorrow she would show them. Morning came with a harsh alarm that echoed through the barracks. Opened her eyes instantly, fully awake in a single heartbeat. Years of military training had taught her body to leave sleep behind like dropping a heavy bag. Around her they were already moving. They made no effort to be quiet. Their heavy feet shook the floor as they prepared for the day. Some of them looked at with hungry eyes. Others ignored her completely as if she was not worth their attention. Stood by the door, arms crossed over his massive chest. He watched get ready with a look of cruel amusement. Today you will understand your place, human. Today everyone will see what prey looks like when it pretends to be a warrior. Finished tying her hair back, she said nothing. The training arena was the largest room in the entire academy. It was built to hold thousands of cadets at once, with high ceilings that could accommodate the tallest species. The floor was made of special material that could absorb impacts and repair itself between training sessions. When arrived, the arena was already crowded. She saw species of every shape and size. Some were insect-like, with hard shells and multiple limbs. Others were covered in fur or feathers. A few looked almost like humans, but with strange differences in their eyes or skin. All of them turned to look at her as she entered. Whispers spread through the crowd. That is the human. So small, so fragile. Why did the coalition even accept their species? They will not last one day here. Found an empty spot near the wall and waited. She kept her breathing slow and steady. She studied the room, noting the exits, the weapon racks, the positions of the instructors. The cadets had gathered in a group near the center of the arena. They were the largest species present, and they made sure everyone knew it. Other cadets kept their distance, giving the predators plenty of space. Instructor Talais called for silence. She was of an ancient species known for their wisdom and their strange biology. Her skin glowed with soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. She had no eyes that could see, but somehow she seemed to look at everyone at once. Welcome to the combat evaluation, Talais said. Her voice was calm and musical. This assessment serves two purposes. First, it allows us to measure your individual skill level. Second, it establishes your standing among your fellow cadets. She gestured toward the weapon racks that lined one wall. Each of you will select a training weapon appropriate for your species. You will then demonstrate basic combat forms. Your performance will be scored and recorded in your permanent file. The cadets began moving toward the weapons. The selection was impressive. There were blades of all sizes, some made of metal and others made of energy. There were hammers that could crush stone. There were whips that crackled with electricity. There were weapons that had never seen before and could not name. Each weapon was designed to match the natural abilities of different species. Heavy weapons for strong species. Fast weapons for quick species. Distance weapons for those who preferred not to fight close. Waited until most cadets had made their selection. Then she approached Instructor Taileyes. The consulted her glow flickering as she processed information. Human, species classification, prey adjacent. Natural weapons, none. Physical advantages, limited endurance capability, high adaptability. Combat rating, minimal. She looked up with something like pity. We have prepared an appropriate tool for your evaluation. She handed a staff. It was simple and white, about 1.5 meters long. It was made of polymer, a type of plastic that was hard but flexible. It weighed almost nothing. This is a non-lethal training staff, Taileyes explained. The surface is designed to absorb impact. It cannot cause serious injury even with full force strikes. The instructor's glow brightened slightly. She clearly thought she was being kind. This will allow you to participate in the evaluation without risk to yourself or others. You will not be expected to perform at the same level as combat species. Across the arena they heard this. Their laughter was loud and cruel. They gave the prey a toy, called out, a soft stick for a soft creature. Other cadets joined in the laughter. Even species that feared the felt safe mocking the small human with her plastic staff. Took the weapon without complaint. She tested its weight, moving it slowly from hand to hand. She spun it once through a simple rotation, feeling how it moved through the air. Acceptable, she said. The evaluation began. Species after species stepped forward to demonstrate their skills. The insect-like showed speed and precision with their curved blades. The massive displayed raw power with their warhammers. The serpentine demonstrated flexibility with their whip-like weapons. The went last. This was not by accident. They had demanded the final position, wanting everyone to watch them and remember. One by one, the 12 predators showed what they could do. Their chosen weapons were brutal, heavy blades, crushing hammers, enhanced axes that seemed to bend space itself. Each moved with the confidence of a born killer. When took his turn, the arena fell silent. His weapon was the largest of all, a massive hammer that glowed with gravitational energy. When he swung it, the air itself seemed to compress. When it hit the ground, the impact left craters in the self-repairing floor. He finished his demonstration and turned to look directly at. Instructor, he called out, I have a request. Taileyes' glow flickered with uncertainty. What request? The human cannot truly be evaluated alone. Her species has no documented combat capability. How can we measure something that does not exist? Murmurs spread through the watching cadets. I propose a practical demonstration, continued. A light sparring match, myself and my pack against her. The arena went very quiet. It will be non-lethal, added, his teeth showing in what might have been a smile. She has the appropriate weapon for that, yes. We will simply show everyone what happens when prey faces predators. Taileyes hesitated. What was asking was unusual, but not against the rules. And truthfully, she was curious. What would the human do when faced with real danger? Cadet Park, she asked, do you accept this challenge? Every eye in the arena turned to. She stood alone near the wall, holding her plastic staff. Around her, 12 were spreading out, surrounding her like hunters surrounding wounded prey. Their claws were extended. Their muscles were tense. Their eyes were hungry. They expected her to refuse. They expected her to run. They expected her to beg for mercy. Looked at them. Then she looked at the hundreds of aliens watching from the edges of the arena. Then she looked at Instructor Taileyes. Yes, she said, I accept. A ripple of shock passed through the crowd. Some cadets shook their heads in disbelief. Others leaned forward, eager to see blood. Smile widened. Spread out, he ordered his pack. Let us show the galaxy what humans are worth. The 12 formed a circle around. They moved slowly, savoring the moment. This would be quick and brutal and humiliating. The human would learn her place. Walked to the center of the arena. She stood still for a moment, her staff held loosely at her side. Her breathing was slow and calm. Her eyes were half closed. Then she opened them. And something in the room changed. They attacked first. They always attacked first. 1,000,000 years of evolution had programmed them to be the hunters, never the hunted. When they saw prey, they did not wait. They did not think. They simply killed. 3 of them rushed forward from different directions. Their claws were extended, each one sharp enough to cut through metal. Their mouths were open, showing rows of teeth designed to tear flesh from bone. They expected the human to freeze. Prey always froze when death came for them. Did not freeze. Her staff moved so fast it seemed to disappear. The first was named. He was young and eager, sprinting ahead of the others to claim the first blood. He never saw the strike coming. One moment he was running forward. The next moment the tip of staff hit his throat with perfect precision. Not a wild swing, not a lucky blow. A surgical strike to the exact spot where his windpipe was weakest. Sighs went wide. His body kept moving forward even as his brain tried to understand what had happened. His legs failed him and he crashed to the ground, gasping for air that would not come. Before he even landed, had already turned. The second was, he was larger than more experienced. He had seen the first strike and tried to adjust, raising his arms to protect his head and throat. It did not matter. Staff swept low, moving in a perfect arc that ended at his knee. The joint was strong, built to support hundreds of kilograms of muscle and bone, but it was not designed to bend sideways. The crack was loud enough to echo through the silent arena. Screamed and fell. The third had already committed to his attack. His claws were reaching for body, certain to tear her apart, but she was no longer there. She had stepped to the side, moving just centimeters out of his reach. As he passed her, she drove the end of her staff into his temple. The polymer surface absorbed some of the impact, but the force was still enough to send his brain crashing against the inside of his skull. Dropped like a stone. 3 down in less than 2 seconds. The remaining 9 predators stopped moving. For the first time in their lives, they felt something they had never experienced before. It was cold and sharp, like ice in their stomachs. It took them a moment to recognize it. Fear did not wait for them to recover. She moved forward into them, attacking when every instinct should have told her to run. The staff in her hands was a blur of white, striking with speed and precision that seemed impossible for such a small creature. Hask tried to grab her. His massive hands closed on empty air as she ducked beneath them, then rose up with a strike that caught him under the jaw. His teeth clacked together and he bit through his own tongue. Blood sprayed from his mouth as he stumbled backward. And Myra attacked together, coordinating their strikes like the hunters they were born to be. Dropped low to the ground, sweeping legs out from under him. As he fell, she used his body as a shield against Myra's claws. Then she put them both down with rapid strikes to their spines, hitting the clusters of nerves that controlled their limbs. They collapsed in a tangle of arms and legs. Came from behind, silent and fast. He thought he was clever. He thought he would catch her by surprise. Heard him coming. She heard everything. The scrape of his claws on the floor, the rush of air as he lunged, the slight change in his breathing as he prepared to strike. She spun and met him with the full length of her staff across his face. The blow knocked him sideways. Before he could regain his balance, she struck twice more, once to his ribs, once to the nerve cluster in his thigh. Crumpled. The arena was completely silent now. Hundreds of aliens watched with expressions they did not know how to name. Shock, disbelief, horror. This was not possible. This small, soft creature was destroying the most feared predators in the academy. She was doing it with a toy, a plastic stick that was not supposed to be able to hurt anyone. Yet After fell before her, and charged together, trying to overwhelm her with size and strength. Seemed to flow between them like water, her staff striking exposed joints and vulnerable points. She knew exactly where to hit. She knew exactly how hard. These were not random attacks. This was knowledge. Thousands of years of knowledge passed down from human to human, refined and perfected through countless generations of war. Took a strike to the elbow that dislocated his arm. Received a blow to the back of the neck that dropped him instantly. Only 3 remained standing. Tal and was the smallest of the pack, but also the fastest. He tried to use his speed, darting in and out, looking for an opening. He found none. Caught his wrist as he struck, twisted, and used his own momentum to throw him to the ground. Her staff came down on his shoulder with a sound like breaking wood. Tal roared and charged with all his strength. He did not try to be clever or careful. He simply wanted to crush this impossible creature beneath his weight. At the last moment, as Tal passed her, she drove her staff into the pressure point behind his ear. His roar cut off suddenly. His eyes rolled back. He fell face first onto the arena floor. 11 down. Only remained. The pack leader stood frozen, watching his warriors lie groaning and unconscious around the small human. His mind could not process what his eyes were showing him. This was wrong, this was impossible. Humans were prey. They were soft and weak and helpless. They were not this. "Your turn," said quietly. Something snapped inside. Fear turned to rage. He would not be humiliated by prey. He would not let this stand. He charged with a roar that shook the walls of the arena. His claws tore the air. His muscles powered him forward faster than any creature his size should be able to move. He was the strongest of his pack, the fastest, the most deadly. Waited. She stood perfectly still as the monster rushed toward her. At the last moment, when his claws were centimeters from her body, she moved. Not backward, not to the side. Forward. She stepped inside his reach, into the space where his claws could not touch her. Her body pressed against his for a single heartbeat. In that heartbeat, her staff found the spot behind his ear that the called the death spot. Non-lethal in this case, but's brain did not know that. Every nerve in his body fired at once, then went silent. His eyes rolled back. His legs stopped working. His massive body crashed to the ground with a sound like thunder. 12 seconds. Stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by the fallen bodies of the Academy's most feared predators. Her breathing was slightly faster than normal. A thin layer of sweat covered her skin. Otherwise, she showed no signs of effort. She looked at Instructor Taileyes, who stood frozen with shock. "Is the demonstration complete?" They could not speak. Her glow had dimmed to almost nothing. No one in the arena could speak. Walked calmly to her original position near the wall. She set her staff down and stood at rest, as if nothing unusual had happened. The silence stretched for a very long time. The medical bay was full that night. 12 lay in recovery pods, their bodies being repaired by the Academy's advanced healing technology. Broken bones were set. Damaged nerves were restored. Internal injuries were treated. None of them would suffer permanent harm, but their pride was another matter entirely. News of what happened spread through the station like fire through dry grass. By evening, every cadet in the Academy had heard the story. By the next morning, it had been transmitted to ships and stations across the sector. A human had defeated 12 predators with a training staff in 12 seconds. No one believed it at first. It had to be a mistake. It had to be some kind of trick or illusion. Humans were weak. Everyone knew this. Their own files said so. But then the video began to circulate. Every training session in the arena was recorded for review. The footage showed everything. The surrounding the small human woman, their confident smiles, their certain victory. And then the fight. Millions of beings across the galaxy watched Park dismantle the predators with cold, mechanical efficiency. They watched her staff blur through the air. They watched body after body fall. They watched the mighty pack leader drop like a puppet with cut strings. The video was played again and again. Analysts slowed it down, frame by frame, trying to understand what they were seeing. "The precision is remarkable," one expert said on a news broadcast. "Every strike targets a specific point of weakness. She knows exactly where to hit. She knows exactly how much force to use." "But how?" the host asked. "Humans have no natural combat ability. Their species files show nothing like this." That is the question everyone is asking. Commander summoned to his office. The room was simple and functional, like the commander himself. A desk, 2 chairs, a window that looked out into the endless stars. Stood behind his desk, all 4 of his hands clasped behind his back. His yellow eyes studied as she entered and stood at attention. "Explain," he said. "Sir, what you did today, explain it to me." Considered her words carefully. "They attacked me. I defended myself." "That was not defense." His voice was hard. "I have seen defense. I have seen desperate prey fight for their lives. That is not what you did." He walked around his desk and stood directly in front of her. "You did not fight like prey. You did not even fight like a predator. You fought like a machine designed for one purpose. You took apart 12 of the most dangerous cadets in this academy like they were children playing at war." He paused, his eyes narrowing. Our files on human combat capability are clearly incomplete. Very incomplete. I want to know the truth. Met his gaze. For a long moment she was silent, then she spoke. Humans have been fighting each other for our entire existence. From the moment we came down from the trees, we had to struggle to survive. We were not the strongest animals on our world. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or fangs or armored skin. So you adapted. We did more than adapt, we perfected. Her voice was calm, almost casual. What you saw today was a combination of 3 fighting arts from my world. Hapkido from Korea, my home country, from the Philippines, from Japan. Frowned, I do not know these words. They are martial arts, systems of combat that humans developed over thousands of years. Each one teaches how to use the body as a weapon. Each one shows how to defeat stronger and larger enemies. And you know all of these. My grandmother began teaching me Hapkido when I was 4 years old. She learned from her grandmother who learned from hers. The knowledge goes back centuries. Its expression did not change. When I was 16, I joined the military. I learned for close combat. I learned for staff fighting. I learned many other things as well. Was quiet for a long time. He walked back to his window and looked out at the stars. Your government sent you here for a reason. Yes. Not just to train, not just to learn. No. They sent you to send a message. Nodded slowly. Earth is new to the coalition. We have been members for only 30 years. Many species believe we are weak. They believe we should be protected at best, conquered at worst. And what is the message? That humanity is not prey. Her voice was quiet but firm. That we never were. Turned back to face her. They are one of the most feared species in the galaxy. They have conquered dozens of worlds. Their warriors are legendary. I know. And you defeated 12 of them with a training stick. Yes. Are there others like you? Other humans with these abilities? Hesitated for just a moment. Commander, I am considered average among Earth's special forces, perhaps slightly above average in staff combat, but there are thousands like me, tens of thousands. The room was very quiet. Felt something he had not felt in many years. Not since he was a young cadet himself, facing his first real battle. His heart beat faster. His hands wanted to shake. He was afraid. Not of one human woman, but of what she represented. Your species has been hiding this, he said slowly. You let the galaxy think you were weak. We did not hide anything. No one asked, everyone assumed. And now? His expression finally changed, just slightly. A small smile touched her lips. Now they know better. Walked back to his desk and sat down heavily. He pulled up his and began typing. Your file will be updated. I will recommend that human combat capabilities be reassessed at the highest levels. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me, he looked up at her. I am doing this because the Coalition needs to know the truth. We have spent 30 years treating your species like children. We have been very, very foolish. He waved his hand toward the door. You may go. Turned to leave. At the door she paused. Commander. Yes. Humans have a saying from an ancient warrior named Sun. She looked back at him. Appear weak when you are strong, appear strong when you are weak. Stared at her. Which are you now, he asked, strong or weak? Smile widened slightly. I suppose the galaxy will have to figure that out. She walked out, leaving the commander alone with his thoughts and his fears. Outside the office, let out a slow breath. The first part of her mission was complete. Earth had sent her here to change perceptions, to make the galaxy understand that humans were not to be underestimated. But she knew this was only the beginning. They would want revenge. Other species would want to test her. The academy would become much more complicated. She thought of her grandmother back on Earth, the old woman who had first put a wooden stick in her hands and taught her how to fight, who had told her stories of warriors who defeated armies with nothing but skill and will. When you are small, her grandmother had said, you must be smart. When you are weak, you must be quick. When you are alone, you must be deadly. Walked toward Barracks 7. She had a feeling the coming days would require all three. 3 days passed. The academy was different now, felt it everywhere she went. The way cadets looked at her. The way they moved aside when she walked through the halls. The way conversations stopped when she entered a room. Before the fight, she had been invisible, just another weak species not worth attention or respect. Now she was something else entirely, something they did not have a name for. Some cadets watched her with fear in their eyes. Others watched with curiosity. A few watched with something that looked like hunger, as if they wanted to test themselves against her. Ignored all of them. She trained alone in the early mornings when the arena was empty. She ate her meals quickly and quietly. She studied the Academy's files on alien combat techniques, learning everything she could about the species she might one day face. They were released from the medical bay one by one. They did not return to Barracks 7 immediately. They stayed in temporary quarters on the other side of the station. Avoiding her. On the third day, returned to the barracks after training to find someone waiting outside. It was. The Massive stood in the hallway, his body blocking the door. His neck was still wrapped in healing bandages. Purple bruises marked his gray skin where staff had struck him. He looked different than before. His posture was not the arrogant stance of a predator confronting prey. It was something else, something more careful. "Park," he said. They stood facing each other in silence. Other cadets who had been walking through the hallway quickly found reasons to be somewhere else. Struggled with his words. His mouth opened and closed several times. For what he was about to say was almost physically painful. "You fought well." Nodded, "Thank you. I have never been defeated before, not once in my entire life. My pack was the strongest on our world. We were chosen for this academy because we were the best of our generation." He paused, his claws clicking nervously against the metal floor. "You beat all of us, in seconds, with a training weapon that was meant for children." "Yes." "How?" The question burst out of him like water from a breaking dam. "How is this possible? We have conquered worlds. Our ancestors were killing and eating everything on our planet before your species had even evolved. How can a human do what you did?" Considered the question carefully. "May I tell you a story?" Blinked, whatever he had expected her to say, it was not that, but he nodded. "Long ago," began, "humans lived on a planet filled with predators. There were animals with fangs as long as your arm, animals with claws that could tear through bone, animals that were faster, stronger, and more deadly than humans could ever hope to be. Your world sounds like ours. Perhaps, but we were different from you. We were small and soft. We had no natural weapons. We could not run fast enough to escape. We could not fight hard enough to win." She paused. "So we learned other ways. We learned to work together in groups. We learned to use tools. We learned to think, to plan, to prepare." Her eyes met his. "And we learned to fight in ways that did not depend on size or strength." "Your martial arts?" "Yes, we developed techniques that used an enemy's power against them. We found the weak points in every creature, no matter how strong. We learned that a small strike in the right place was worth more than 100 powerful blows to the wrong place." Was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You tricked us, all of you, your entire species." "We did not trick anyone. We simply did not correct your assumptions. You let us think you were weak." "We are weak compared to most species in this galaxy. Humans are small and fragile and easy to kill." His expression did not change. "But we have learned how to fight despite that, because of that." Nodded slowly. Understanding was beginning to replace confusion in his eyes. "Among my people," he said, "when a warrior defeats a pack leader in fair combat, they earn a place of honor. The pack owes them respect and loyalty. I did not fight for dominance." "I know, that makes it worse." His mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. "You did not even consider us a real threat. We were just obstacles. I tried not to cause permanent damage." Let out another barking laugh. "And we thought we were being merciful by letting you live among us. We thought we were being kind to the weak little human." He stepped away from the door. "The pack will not trouble you again. I will make sure of it. We do not hold grudges against those who have earned our respect." Moved toward the door, but stopped beside him. "I want you to understand something," she said quietly. "I was not sent here to make enemies. Earth wants allies, not rivals. Humans know we cannot survive alone in this galaxy. Then why fight? Why show everyone what you can do? Because respect must be earned, not given. Your people understand this better than most." Considered her words. Then he extended his hand, claws carefully retracted. My pack and I would like to train with you. To learn what you know, would you teach us? Looked at his outstretched hand. Among this gesture had deep meaning. It was an offer of alliance between equals. She took his hand. I would be honored. Over the following weeks, everything changed. The other returned to Barracks 7. They no longer threatened or intimidated. They treated with the same respect they showed their own pack leaders. They trained with her in the early mornings, learning the techniques she had used to defeat them. Word spread throughout the academy. The human was teaching the prey was training the predators. Other species began to approach her. Carefully, respectfully. They wanted to learn too. They wanted to understand how such a small creature could defeat such powerful enemies. Taught them all. She taught them about leverage and momentum. She taught them about pressure points and joint locks. She taught them the philosophy behind the techniques, the thinking that had developed over thousands of years of human warfare. Fighting is not about strength, she told her growing class of students. Fighting is about understanding yourself, understanding your enemy, understanding the space between you. Commander watched from a distance as the small human transformed the academy. In just a few months, she had done what decades of coalition policy had failed to do. She had brought species together. She had earned genuine respect. And she had shown the galaxy what humanity truly was. Not prey, not predators. Something else entirely. On the day received orders to return to Earth, came to see her one final time. Will you come back? He asked. Perhaps Earth has other plans for me now. The nodded, if humans ever go to war, I hope my people are on your side. Smiled, so do we. She boarded her shuttle and watched the academy shrink into the distance. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were watching videos of a small human woman defeating giant predators with a plastic stick. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans were not prey, they never had been. They were survivors, fighters, learners. They had clawed their way up from nothing on a world that had tried to kill them, and they had emerged stronger for it. They looked weak, they looked soft, they looked harmless. But those who underestimated them learned the truth. Usually too late. As the shuttle jumped to faster-than-light speed, closed her eyes and smiled. Her grandmother would have been proud. The end.